Greetings from the North Woods of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Today I am at the local Peter White Public Library with my friend Lanni, and I really think that you'll be interested in her story. It's very important to me that I expose people to a wide variety of individuals living plant-centered lifestyles, and so today will be our first foray into that. So Lanni, please tell us your story and we'll go from there.
Sounds good, Natasha. Basically, what brought me to a plant-based lifestyle was not by choice.
Okay.
For many people, it kind of starts that way, but for me, it was a health-related issue, and it was a very chronic issue that I was having, and I was going to all these doctors for it. This was about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And that doctor kind of introduced the idea of you should be changing some of the way you're eating food. And that was the first time for me I really thought of food as being something that was supposed to be fuel and nutritious to keep my body going.
Sure.
Rather than what I was taught, which is it's just supposed to taste good and you're supposed to just find pleasure from food.
Gotcha.
So once I sort of wrapped my head around that idea is when I started to eat differently.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily become a vegan at that point. I was still eating meat and dairy. And then I sort of just started to be more compassionate about my way of life.
Okay.
And that led me, as I'll explain a little bit more, into choosing not to eat meat. But the dairy was something that I didn't let go of until about a year ago.
That's hard for a lot of people.
It is, it is, because you don't think about it. For me, I thought, they give you these pictures of all these cows and they're smiling and they're happy. And it almost seems like the dairy industry presents it as, do us a favor, milk us. And so I just thought, eating raw cheese was not going to be anything that I needed to think about compassionately,
Sure.
Whereas the meat, I had kind of accepted that was cruel. Until I lived in Wisconsin, America's dairyland,
Okay.
and I saw firsthand what dairy is all about. So my story really to veganism is walking by a little pen, a solitary pen, where there was a little baby cow, just born, still had the placenta on, and the mother was separately, she was there, but she was separated by a concrete wall, and this was all an outdoor farm, so you could see it, and she was bellowing and calling, and the sound, it was just horrendous, and I just sort of walked up to this little baby, and I immediately started crying, because it was shivering. It's like I said, it still had the placenta on and it needed to be licked off. It really needed its mother's love.
Right.
And that really broke my heart. And so now as a Christian, I really have taken that into my faith life.
Okay.
In meaning that if God is love, and a mother's love is one of the closest ways that there's this bond between a mother and her baby that really, that's why we love Mary so much. She had Jesus, and this love that you have for your child, to raise your child up. And for me to be a part of taking a baby away from its mother just didn't go in line with what I was going to church, and I was, these principles that I was living by, it just didn't align with it. So I really believe now, and I am aspiring every day to live cruelty-free because it's a part of my faith life.
That's very interesting, because I think oftentimes people come to a plant-centered lifestyle because of the environment, or because of animals, or because the ethical side. But I don't think a lot of people ever associate becoming plant-centered with the religious aspect of it, and that makes a lot of sense.
Right, and particularly not Christianity. Hinduism and Buddhists have certain sects where they will not eat meat because it's the practice of nonviolence and compassion. Whereas in Christianity, we just don't talk about it. But if you go to the roots of Christianity, you can definitely find it there. And what I my husband and I, he's also become a vegan because we believe it now is really a part of our faith life, is that God created the Garden of Eden. That was the idyllic way that God created this earth. And in the Garden of Eden, you didn't have 9 billion animals in a pen, with their necks slaughtered so, humans could eat them. It was that the lamb laid down with the lion and everything was at peace. It was only until man's fall, when man began to sin, that man started to eat meat and live outside of this nature, the way that we really believe God intended us to be living. So for us, it's about teaching other Christians to get back to this idea of we are stewards of the earth and we are stewards of creation. We're not dominators of it. And to eat and to kill one of God's creations without having to have no respect for this other life that we share the planet with is really not aligned with why we go to church and what we believe.
So really, this is something that you and your husband share together, this belief and this lifestyle, which certainly I think there are some people out there that really wish that they had a partner that shared that same belief system. So what do you do in your daily lives together to share what you've learned and to help other people see the compassion in living a plant-centered lifestyle?
It's so true. It's very helpful to have somebody, especially if you're married to them, who aligns with the way that you think. In the beginning, when we were together, we both ate meat, but we came to this beautiful understanding together because we watched documentaries and we visited animals, and we just saw, when we looked in their eyes, we saw God. And so it was we both kind of went through this together. So now we actually run a Christian-based retreat center.
Okay.
And we've noticed, people come in and they want to be fed, and we can't. It's against our beliefs to feed meat and dairy. So
sure, it's
been a kind of a test for us, but we're going to continue it. We only serve plant-based meals.
Okay.
And so far, we've gone from asking if they've had allergies to not telling them what they're eating, or sometimes we will just say it. But we have had only very positive reviews. In fact, so you have meat-eating Franciscans, who will come in and they'll say, you should really advertise the food that you're serving because they're just the flavors.
How great.
Yeah, it's so good, and I think when you cook plant-based meals, you really are going to be you blow people's minds because they have this very narrow conception of what it is, and
absolutely,
that it's a huge sacrifice. And two things on that. One, as Christians, we are called to sacrifice certain things for the betterment of others. So sacrifice is not a bad thing. But the thing with veganism is it's actually not a sacrifice because you're eating so many different things, and it's so much healthier for you that running this retreat center, we've only had positive outcomes. And people say that it's easier and nicer for them to pray because you're lighter and you don't. And I joke, but you don't have a rotting carcass inside you while you're trying to pray to the Creator. So
sure.
So really, I think people are really embracing that as a part of their spirituality and their spiritual life.
That's really great that you're using that part of yourselves and you're using your job, basically what you do for a living, to be able to spread the word about plant-centered living. So if someone were interested in coming to your retreat center, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. It's a lot like the Upper Peninsula.
Okay.
They like to say that they're the North Country, but
where's it located?
Yep, it's in upstate New York.
Okay.
So, I think the upstate New York where we're at in the Adirondack Mountains is a lot like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where I'm from. We have 100 acres, and there's trails. There's a huge trail system on it. We have about 20 rooms where people can come, and it's a very quiet place. It's a very sacred place. We've been there. The retreat center's been there for 30 years, and it's really just a very blessed place. So we invite people to come there of any faith or of no faith. Really, anybody is welcome there. You will get good meals when you come, and you don't have to go to a Buddhist or a monastery to get a totally vegan meal. And I think that's something that is special about us, is that even though we are Christian-based, we do not serve any meat or dairy there.
Absolutely. So if someone were to try to get in contact with you, how would they do that?
Right. So we're the Priory Retreat House, the Priory, Priory Priory Retreat House, and we're in upstate New York. You can just find us on Facebook, or we have a great website, and you can find more about our programmings because we do offer different programs. And we welcome people who are interested in a plant-based lifestyle to come there and just learn more about it and have workshops or anything. Our doors are more than open for them.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Natasha. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, have a great day.
Thanks.